you miss me?
Working on myself, working on my health, working on my mind, taking all the time, yeah, that I need just to find.
I love to journal, right? And so whenever I've been gone from my journal for a while and I start journaling again, I'm always like, it's been a long time, I don't know where to start. And that is true for this video. It's like, I know it's been a year. I literally left you guys hanging on this huge cliffhanger. I was like, hey, we just had a house fire, I'll update you guys, and then just didn't update you guys. Truly forgive me for not updating you and just disappearing. It was a wild time, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was like a wild year, a wild time, and so I am sorry that I just disappeared. And I'm also happy to be back. I'm happy to report that I'm in a better space. I'm happy to report that I'm back home. We'll get into all that good stuff. I guess we could start with my expectation of 2023. The beginning of January to me felt promising. I was like, yay. I was getting back into a relationship, and I felt like, you know, that was gonna head towards marriage. And I just, you know, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be great. I thought I was leaving the wilderness, and you know, how could it get any better, you know? And then in March of 2023, the Lord was like, yeah, and like, y'all are not it for each other. And I was like, what do you mean we're not it for each other? That was devastating in and of itself, but at that time I really wasn't processing it. To be honest with you, I really didn't process it. I was like, no. I was like, you know, I don't want to cry about this anymore. I don't want to cry about this relationship. I don't want to be sad. And I caught flights, and I went to Houston, and I went to Florida, and I went to Mexico, and I was in New York for a month. And then my pastor, apostle, was like, hey, hello, you gotta come home. We have like things that we're doing. And I was a part of the, you know, the new things that we were doing. I was honored, right? I was to be a part of the new things that we were doing, and so I needed to be present. And I got on a flight back home, and I was like, I don't really want to deal with all that, Lord. You know, once, like, breakups are never fun. They're just not fun, you know. I come back home, and everything is pretty normal. Everything is normal, like, you know, just normal. And October 10th is when the fire happened, and I work remote. I work from home. That particular day, I was like, I need a different scenery. I just like cafe me, you know. So I packed my stuff and I went to a cafe. In hindsight, when I look back, I'm like, that was just all God that even woke me up and stirred me to go be somewhere else, because I would have fixated on probably saving my animals or salvaging some stuff, or my fight or flight response is very much fight. God only knows what I would have tried to get myself into, or what I would have gotten myself into had I been here at the time that the fire happened. So that's that. October 10th was, it felt surreal. Like, everything happened so and fast at the same time. I come home, you know, you see your house being destroyed. Then after hours and hours of like being outside, the firefighters allow us to come back inside, and they're like, grab what you need. And I grab shirts, and just walking into my home and watching all the destruction around us. Everything was covered in soot, like, you know, black walls. Like, it was just a sight to see, and I was just like, this isn't real. It didn't feel real. I grabbed like pajama shirts, because what are we gonna sleep in? But even those pajama shirts were covered in soot. We're burying my dog. Like, it's just like, I don't have enough vocabulary that could describe how it felt in that moment. And then I will say the days leading after that, like the days after the fire, I could sincerely feel people praying for me and my family. It genuinely felt like there was a cloud hugging us, and I felt people's prayers, and it really carried us through those first 3 days. I can definitely say like I felt it. Donations were coming in, which allowed us to, you know, just get some basics, while money from the insurance company came in. And basically October 11th, until I moved back into my house, I was living in a hotel. So that was hard. I wasn't working at that time because I took some PTO off, you know, all the things, just to get myself together and acclimated. So now we're in November and I am back at work, and it's November 13th because it is my 2nd year anniversary. And I clock into work and it's 9 a.m. and I'm like, you know, and I get a little, like a Teams call, you know, and we usually don't have a meeting until 9:30, so it's peculiar that I'm getting a call at 9 a.m. And what's even more peculiar is who's calling me. And I'm like, so I'm already suspicious. I'm not in my department, and sure enough, they're like, yeah, we're doing layoffs today. We're laying off 160 people, 180 people, and I was one of them. And I was just kind of like, I just had a house fire. What am I gonna do? Still, at this point, my life doesn't feel real. I lost my home, everything I owned, every single belonging you can think of, with the exception, the only thing we got out that day was Bibles. Like everything, and some shirts. I like lost truly everything. Nothing was really salvageable. Very few items were salvageable. Now I lost my job, but it still hasn't fully hit me because nothing feels real. December of 2023, I find out that, you know, my said ex is engaged. And I think everything, it was too much because everything was back to back, and everything I didn't deal with, like I told you guys about earlier, everything came crashing down. And I genuinely felt, I still remember the heaviness that I felt in the coming months. I genuinely felt forgotten by God, abandoned by God, like I was his least favorite. And I just went through such a deep process of, I don't even know, like I don't have the words to describe everything. It was because it didn't feel real to me. I was just like, what did I do, you know? Everybody who heard my story compared me to Job, and I hated that. I hated being compared to Job, and I was just angry and bitter, and there's so many emotions that were coming out of me during this process. And I, you know, essentially I had to learn how to depend on God. I genuinely have nothing. I don't have a home. I don't have a job. I felt like I lost everything, and God is somehow still providing for me. Throughout this process, God is like, Karina, don't give up on me, because I haven't given up on you. And I'm like, I want to give up on you. And in the sense of like, I have no desire to go back into the world. I really don't. I don't have a desire to be in the clubs or like, you know, drink it. Like I don't have that desire in me. But I remember feeling very frustrated because I was uncertain that I would ever make it out of whatever this was. I didn't know that my heart, that my mind, that I could give God whatever it is that he needed from me. I didn't think that I could. And I read my Bible. I know that you can die in the wilderness. I for sure thought that I was going to die in the wilderness. I didn't know how we would recover from this. And so you can imagine the process, the pruning, the everything that the year had brought forth. It was one of those John 13:7 moments where like, you don't know what I'm doing now, but later you will. For sure it was that. And then things started to turn around in September of 2024. September of 2024. Prophetess Nia Cerise came into town, and she prophesied over me. I had a sister pray over me before she even did. These people don't know me from a hole in the wall, and were speaking directly into my situation. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I remember the things that they said made me feel seen by God, because they are saying things that hit my heart. Like, Mom, my sister, she didn't know me. She comes up to me, we're all in prayer, and she prays over my heart. And she was like, you went through some things that shook you to your core, like your foundation. And I just start crying, I just start crying. And I'm just like, oh man, God is still watching over me, even in the explosion of such big emotions. Even though God is showing me, because he really showed me where my faith is at. He showed me where my hope was at. He showed me where I was really at based on my response to everything that I was going through. He showed me where I was at, and I was just like, that was a lot to deal with. And I lost hope and I lost faith, and God's asking me to have hope and faith, and I'm like, how do you want me to have hope and faith in stuff that I don't see? You know, I lost everything, and I was really fixated on my situation, what I was going through. I really didn't see a light, or I became friends with sorrow, and I was like afraid to hope for anything good, because I'm like, you know, when you are going through a hard season, it feels longer than when you're going through a time in your life when you're happy. You know, you're like, when you're sad, it feels like the days drag, the moments drag, you know. So God is asking and telling me all these things, and I'm like, so it was the Lord himself who was like, okay, are you gonna get on board? And started shifting me, and he brought forth people to let me know, hey, you're shifting out of this season, new things are coming. But the clause to that are the beautiful things I heard, because that was September of 2024. October of 2024, I decided to move back into my house. We were dealing with a lot of things with our contractor. If you know, you know. And so I just was like, you know what? I moved back into the house, and I was like, I'm gonna apply some pressure. And sure enough, my family followed me, and we all just was like living in the house while they did the finishing touches that needed to be done. And that felt really nice. So I am back home. My home was restored. Give glory to God for me. Give just claps in the comments for me. That was a huge turning point, right? So September of 2024, God is like, hey, I'm shifting you out of here, get ready. October, we're back home. And that was really signified a shift. I was in a hotel. My family and I were in a hotel for a solid year, a full year. We were not in the comfort of our belongings, our things, our home. It was a wild time. And so now we're home, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you know, like home. And things start falling into place, and things start getting better. And again, God is sending more people to talk to me. God, like, hey, get ready, you know, it's time to shift. God is, you know, talking to my apostle, who's talking to me, talking to my friends, who are talking to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And so it's been a journey. It has for sure been a journey. So I know what it's like to suffer a great loss. I know what it's like to suffer, period. And for a long time, I was just like, why? That was just my question. Just why? And I'm understanding that as a believer, we just partake in these things, and it is the suffering. You learn so much in your suffering. You learn to become more humble. You learn to be more appreciative of your things. You learn to discern, and you don't even know how prideful you are until you're humbled, and then you're like, wow, whoa, I didn't know everything that I'm learning now. And I have so much to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it in this video. Like, this is just a segue. We're going to talk more in depth and different topics that I brought up in this video, but I just wanted to update you guys, like, hey, this is everything that happened. That's why I went ghost. God was doing a thing. God was working in me, and God has called me back into this space of YouTube, and I'm here, and I'm okay, and I have a testimony, and I know that I have to share this testimony. I know that I have to share about how God took me out of these places, because it's hard. Emotions, like, we talk about being people that are led by the word and not our emotions, but emotions, especially big emotions, we're talking bitterness, we're talking anger, we're talking, you know, like sorrow. These are huge emotions, and you got to bring it up before a huge God. Like, I don't even it was a lot, you know. And how do you get out of that? I know people who have stayed in places off of like one tragedy or one hard thing, you know. How do you pick yourself back up? I did not pick myself back up. I'm gonna let you guys know right now. My community, I prayed for me, prayed me out of situations. I'll never forget, I had one particular event. One of my closest friends, her name is Destiny. She is amazing. I'm gonna link her information to her podcast below, because you just gotta listen to it. It talks about faith, and that was genuinely something I struggled with this season. So it's so important to have a good community and good friends, and I'm so grateful that God brought me to a community. I wholeheartedly believe that I would not be able to have even gone through this process, never mind the deliverance to this process, outside of community, for sure. There's no way. There was a time when we were in a service together, my apostle was guest speaking at an event, and they start talking about like unforgiveness and different things, and I'm like, and I grab her hand, and she looks at me and she's like, do you need to go up to the altar? And I was like, but I was so like, there was pride there. Like I didn't want to cry anymore. Like, you know when you just get tired of crying, and it's almost like I got tired of being broken. I got tired of feeling like everybody saw me broken. I got tired of being broken. I got tired of being broken before the Lord. And I was just like, and she's like, come on. And so I go, and she walks me to the altar, and as I'm crying before the Lord, she's holding my back, praying for me, to interceding so that I can even have a moment of breakthrough, a moment of deliverance. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot to talk about, and there's so much to unpack here. But God, my community, my family, all the things I got delivered from, y'all, I could be here for like 3 hours. But I won't be before you that long this time, but I am making a commitment. You guys will hear from me. We have so much to talk about, and I really do want this to be a community. So if you're watching this, one, like, just make some noise to God on my behalf. Like, wow, Karina, not only did you make it through, I'm in a season of time where I'm walking into restoration. I know that I am meeting the God of restoration. A prophetic sign of that was my birthday, my 32nd birthday, which was in December of 2024. That was like, leading up to my birthday, I was just like excited for no reason, and I was like, oh my God. And I got filled with this hope that I know, just like, where did it come from? You know, I just know that it was God, like, hey, good things are coming. And again, I told you the clause for that was that I had to believe it. I did. Like, I had to believe it. And I struggled with believing it, and now I'm kind of entering into a space where I'm like, wow, and God is doing things and opening up new opportunities for me, and I'm just grateful to be in a space of stability. Like, honestly, let's end this video with gratitude. Like, I just want us to end it in gratitude. Like, if you have a home, doesn't matter what you're going through, what you lost, whatever, like, the fact that you have a home and food on your table is really an underrated blessing, because we get so used to it. But I'm telling you guys, when you get stripped, the most basic things become like blessings again. You know, like, you start to see things from a new perspective, and I'm excited to share these new perspectives with you guys. If you've ever been through a loss, or you're currently going through a loss, let's talk about it. Leave a message in the comments. I'll respond. Email me, message me on Instagram. I am authentically.karina. I'll leave my email below. Like, I want to talk, I want to engage with you guys, because like, I get it. I completely get it, and I'm gonna be praying for y'all. I really will be. I want to make sure that we're praying, that we're talking. We're gonna grow to be our authentic selves in Christ, and the practical steps to do that here on this channel. So thank you guys so much for listening to me, for supporting me, for praying for me, and watching this video. We have so much more coming, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, because another video will be dropping. And yeah, we gonna get into some good stuff. But for now, I love you guys so much, and I'll catch you in the next video.